It's beginning to look like James Gunn just might be done at DC. Signs say that he could be on his way out of there as Paramount bounces the Superman director to somewhere, anywhere else other than them. Today we'll explain why, after Guardians, he just could not find a win with DC. More on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back yet again to another video of excellence explaining with a PhD level of understanding what's really going on in the hallowed halls of Hollyweird. No tuition required, you're all on scholarship simply for being here. The only thing we ask, click that like button, and let's dive into the task ahead for James Gunn and why he might be done at a Warner Bros. Bought by Paramount. Signs are starting to point towards James Gunn being done at DC. Has Paramount decided they're going to bounce him? Let's talk about it from Cosmic Book News by Matt McGloin. HBO boss raises more red flags about James Gunn's DCU plans. Here's what it says. Casey Bloys may have just said the quiet part out loud about James Gunn's DCU on HBO. In his new interview with Variety, the HBO boss made it clear DC projects are being judged script by him, not because they are part of some larger master plan. That makes it sound like Bloys is the one really deciding what gets greenlit on the TV side, not Gunn. Quote, "That was deliberate because I do it based on the script," he said in response to questioning about the slow DCU rollout on HBO compared to what Marvel did with Disney+. More than anything else, forget about anybody, any plan or anything like that. You have to do it based script by script. Is it a good script? Do we think it's interesting creatively? Do we think it makes sense as a show? It says that's bad news for Waller. Asked about Viola Davis's series, Bloys did not sound confident at all, saying only that he wouldn't say it's on the runway. For a project announced back in Gunn's original January 2023 DCU slate, that sounds like a show that may not be happening anytime soon, if at all. Now, we know that the John Cena stuff didn't work very well, I would say, and we saw that it was admitted in front of Congress even that Superman, the movie, did not perform like they wanted, maybe 100 million under lowest projections for what they were hoping for. We've got Supergirl on the way out, and that's a little controversial in terms of how people are ready to receive that for the summer. It's starting to look like with Paramount coming in, there's some doubt about James Gunn's future. Chuck, as you look at how they've rolled this out with the new DC films, what are your thoughts on these characters and their portrayals versus some of the more successful things you've done in the past and how you've portrayed those characters?
Well, I mean, both Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC have kind of lost their way by moving away from the source material, But I mean, on the subject of James Gunn, it's pretty clear he's finished. This is the Hollywood goodbye. When they stop talking about you, they stop committing to anything. They say, "Oh, we still love you," but they're doing production meetings without you. You're finished. You're done. And it just hasn't gone public yet.
That's also what we've seen at Lucasfilm as well. We've heard that people are no longer being called into meetings and that kind of thing. That kind of gives an indication that things are slowing down in terms of using those who made the things in the past. Chuck, when we look at Superman in this most recent iteration under James Gunn, a lot of people took umbrage with the way the character was depicted in terms of getting beaten down quite a bit. A lot of people thought that it was kind of a cynical film. What are your thoughts about how you get these characters right? Like, what is the essence of Superman, Batman, Robin, and more in DC if we want to see them succeed in film these days?
Well, you've got to have heart and you've got to have confidence in your own material. It showed a lack of confidence that they crowded the film with all these ancillary characters that most moviegoers never heard of before and could care less about. And you go see a Superman movie, you want it to be about Superman. Mm-hmm. You don't want it to be the start of a new, round of entries for some universe you're building. Because people aren't stupid. They realize what's going on. This isn't a standalone movie. This is supposed to be a prologue to what's to come next. And I think that's a poor choice every single time.
Absolutely. Marv, you've been diving in recently to a lot of the stuff that Chuck's been up to, and I think you can see a distinct difference in the style of the content and the characters for what we see in the cinemas versus Chuck doing it the right way still. What are your thoughts on the content from Rippaverse and Chuck Dixon versus what we're getting out of James Gunn?
So Chuck, just at MegaCon, my big purchase this year was this.
What is that thing?
And I have been tearing through it. You can see like where I'm at. I
thought they stopped making the Encyclopedia Britannica. What are you holding there? Hold it up one more time.
That is the Rippaverse years 1 through 3 omnibus, and I've been tearing through it. It's been incredible, and I've been a fan of yours all my life. I mean, Nightfall with Nightwing, your Tim Drake stuff, your Punisher stuff, legendary stuff, and to have new works by you establishing a new universe. I mean, probably. So I read Zalen, and it was just absolutely incredible. I loved it. It was just such a cool spacefaring adventure. I love the side characters that you brought into that. But the thing that I loved the most was the Great War of Separation. I read both parts of that, and I'm just like, man, they don't do stuff like this anymore. It's so fascinating. It was just a fascinating story about an alternate version of the United States and how, like splitting apart like this. I mean, these are the kinds of stories that I think would make, amazing films, would be able to translate into films. And I think James Gunn's approach here was wrong from the start, because he was right to start with Superman, but you have to start with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And if you're establishing a universe, you have a baked-in secondary cinematic universe with Batman by spinning off the Bat family, which you did so brilliantly with Nightwing and with Tim Drake, establishing them as heroes in their own rights. Those are new franchises. And instead, we've just kind of spun our wheels with this Superman film, and now going into Supergirl, which nobody really seems to want, and Lanterns, which absolutely nobody wants. Yeah, I would really have to question the sanity of anybody at Warner Brothers if they were going to continue with this. How do you not start a community?
Can I throw one thing in there? I don't feel like they actually started with Superman. I feel like they started with the second act of Superman 3.
Yes.
I'm just going to point that out.
Yes.
So Chuck, James Gunn did such a great job with Guardians of the Galaxy and really lifted up a property that was not so well known. Why do you think they're missing it right now? If you think they are, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but why do you think, because I think they're missing a little bit with DC, what is it they're not getting right about the characters necessarily?
Well, I mean, the kind of suicidal irony that worked in Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't work for Superman, Batman, and the other characters, because these are very earnest characters. Gunn recreated the Guardians of the Galaxy, in his own model, and that's fine. Movie audiences didn't know who they were. Most comic fans had forgotten them. But Superman, everybody has an image in their head of who Superman is, and they want to see you stay within that model. They want you to exceed their expectations, but they still want to see the Superman that they've always known and loved. And this just wasn't a good fit. He's not earnest enough about these characters.
Nat, what do you think about the reporting that we're getting right now that maybe things are not all sunshine and roses with James Gunn and DC and Paramount buying this in? What do you think, Nat, about the idea that James Gunn could be bounced and maybe we start all this all over again?
Well, first, it's great being here with both of them. As a layperson that also doesn't know too much about comic books, but I can look at it from a regular moviegoer or consumer, I guess. And exactly, it was the essence, I think, that was taken away and took away from the narrative of these characters that so many people know. So when you go to a movie or you go into a story that you're expecting something from it, maybe a new adventure, but the same style or essence of the character, and now they've all been taken away. So I agree with Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe it was so forgotten about that it was almost like a not blank slate, but the characters were there, but you could mold them more as you wanted to. But with Superman, you can't really do that. It's Superman.
Right.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, and heaven help us, because if he had gone to Batman first, I would not want to see what a James Gunn Batman looks like.
Right.
He would not have been able to wrap his head around that character and not try to make it funny and just get away. The problem is, I think that people are trying to impose the same archetype onto every hero now once something works. We saw it with DC a while back when The Dark Knight hit, and they were like, okay, everything's got to be dark and gritty. Like, no, Batman has to be dark and gritty. That's what sets him apart. Superman has to be light and hopeful. And, like when Marvel started succeeding with like that Joss Whedon brand of humor, now all of a sudden everyone needs that Joss Whedon brand of humor. That's not correct. How the superhero movies have propped up Hollywood for over a decade, but they still don't understand that these are different characters and they serve different audiences. They keep thinking of it as one audience. Hey, the audience has enjoyed this one thing with this one character, so every character should just be that. And with James Gunn, it's, well, they liked Guardians of the Galaxy, so everything in DC should be Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't work.
Right, exactly. I agree with you. And part of the problem, I think, is when we're looking at, for example, Supergirl coming up, they're essentially now desperate enough that it's just about the dog. But even the dog pees on a picture in the trailer, urinates on a picture of Superman. And that's not the correct portrayal of the character. It's not how people want Superman to be portrayed. And then you got Supergirl here, who I've said before, and I'll say it again, she looks very young, exceedingly young, kind of, 14, 15 young. And the problem with that is when she's supposed to be a Tony Stark, heavy drinker, promiscuous kind of person, it plays a little strange when she looks as she does. Bob, when you're stepping into the world of, whatever somebody wants you to illustrate, how do you get it right? Because I know that James Gunn has a style, and he's been hired to have his style, but he's coming in and that style is overtaking maybe what most people envision. Bob, how do you do that tug of war when you're coming in to illustrate? How do you live within the boundaries, but also put your stamp on it?
Well, I think I start by praying that the person who wrote the script is going to allow me to do my own thing.
Sure.
And then I can get away with it. I don't know. I mean, I've worked both ways where I have to stay true to a description. I try to, usually what I've done, especially in advertising work, if I have another way I want to do something, I do what I'm told to do, and I also throw in, I say, by the way, I have this is the way I kind of see it. So I always show them both, so at least there's something that they can use, and I hope that they pick the one that I did, but it doesn't always work out that way, but that's okay.
It's a lot more fun to do it your way, I would say, right?
I hate using the word fun, first of all, when I'm talking about it's work to me. This is a trade,
Sure.
I'm a commercial artist. Sometimes it's fun off the record, but
we won't
don't tell anybody. No one's listening, right? It doesn't have to be fun. I'm just so used to doing this for as long as I have been, commercial art in general, that I do what I'm told unless I get the leeway.
And Chuck, I'll give you the final word on this. As we're looking at James Gunn, maybe not being the guy that carries the torch forward, if you were advising Paramount as their bosses come in, if you were advising them forward, like what is the essence of these characters? How do they get it right? How do they get people excited again for a DC cinematic universe that's been done and redone and rebooted and over we go? What is it? How would you start off with Paramount if they were coming in and you were an advisor there?
I would say if you're going to make a Superman movie, a Batman movie, a Nightwing movie, don't make it about those characters. Just find a really good story and insert them into it. Think story first, character second. We already know these characters. They're already established. We don't need to revisit them. I always say the best Batman movie ever made was Die Hard 3. It's a Batman movie. It has the Riddler in it. It has Batman and Robin. It has everything you'd want in a Batman movie. How awesome would that movie have been as a Batman movie? Take that story.
Absolutely. Chuck, speaking of these characters that we know, what's a character that we don't know that you've spent some time with or the mainstream audience doesn't know that you wish one day could get the cinematic treatment?
Oh, boy. I got a lot of IPs.
It's time to plug the thing you're working on now. Go for it.
Yeah. Seven Deadly Sinners would make an awesome movie. I was talking to a producer about it, actually, and he was talking about what range of budget they had. And I said, well, the cheaper you make this, the better. Because it's 70s retro grindhouse, outlaw biker flick on paper.
Tell us a little bit about Seven Deadly Sinners from Rip Ascend. This is something that I'm very excited to see out there and people enjoying it in the near future. We've got, sales goal right now, March 27th. So, folks, it's now. Get going right now. Chuck, tell us a little bit about the project.
It's a 120-page graphic novel by me and Bob. I thought of it years ago, and Bob and I have been, I wanted Bob involved from the beginning. And then, in the last few years, I said, I just want to do it. I want to get it done. It's about 7 outlaw bikers who go help one of their buddies they served with in Vietnam. He's got a weed farm in Northern California. This is set in the 70s. And he's having trouble getting his product to market because of a crooked county sheriff. So he calls on his badass biker buddies to come in and help him, drive a convoy through an army of cops. And if that's not a 1970s movie, I've never seen a 1970s movie.
I love the pitch. That's a great pitch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, that's one way to do it. Hey, anybody at the studios want to pay attention to this? Let's get this going. That's a great idea, and we're all aboard. Folks, get over there and join in the campaign and get that on your shelf real soon. You'll be happy that you did, and you can say Chuck Dixon told me to. And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a Pro Store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The Pro Store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.